On this video on Standing in Glory Power, we are going to touch on a little of the prophetic. And in John's Gospel, Jesus said he would send the Holy Spirit to show us things to come. And the Holy Spirit indwells every true born-again Christian. And he confirms it all over the world today. And this reality that the Holy Spirit does indeed show his people things to come. So I'm going to jump into this right away. We're going to touch on American-Canadian election. Just a few things the Lord showed me, and most of them have come to pass. When things start to accumulate, it's kind of interesting. So I'm just going to leave this with you, and beginning with Obama. So we're going to touch on Obama, Trudeau, Hillary, Trump, and what's happened and what has taken place in the American election right now. Got some very serious things that are taking place that are changing the political landscape around the world. Let's start with Obama. Something the Lord showed me. On the day that he was elected, his first term, and so everybody's happy, and but of course the first thing that came through my mind, just for a few seconds, is the I Have a Dream speech from Martin Luther King Jr. on the Lincoln Memorial steps at Washington. All of a sudden I saw a yellow flag saying, just whoa, put on the brakes here. And that was something that came to me in the spirit. I saw this, and I just kind of sat back, and this came to me. If it has anything to do with the end times, and here's the word of the Lord that came, I believe, because it's played itself out absolutely perfectly. And these words came to me. He will do things that will make your head shake. That is the word that came to me. And so if you're not familiar with that word, if you're younger, it simply means it's a statement of shock and disbelief at what someone does. You think they're either crazy, or they're losing it, or they're doing things that are just off the wall, just way out into outer space, and you wonder, where their head is at. So anyways, so that is what came to me. And the things that he has done over the years, it's a long, long list. And of course I did not write every little detail down, and didn't care to, but there's a few things that I'm just going to bring out before I move on. The ones that stand out in my mind are most recent and beginning with this term. And one of them is his welcoming in of the Muslim Brotherhood. And actually all of this actually revolves around his Muslim favoritism, his favoritism towards Islam. The Muslim Brotherhood, terrorist organization, clearly against Western values, and they let them into the White House. And folks, this is one that is just absolutely mind-boggling. It just there are articles that have been written on this, but everything has consequences, and I'll be talking more about this in future videos, but wow, that is a big one. And his handling of the issues in the Middle East, absolutely amazing. The weakness of leadership, and instead of going into all the things that regarding the war and backing out and leaving the vacuum for ISIS to come in, one of the final nails in the coffin, I think, just to this just terrible, terrible decision making, no discernment whatsoever, is this Iran nuclear deal. Again, based on the word of the Lord that came to me, and I'm very careful to say this too, because one thing you'll know about prophetic, true prophecy, it doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't really tickle the ear of, show favoritism. When the majority of people are applauding and saying, oh yeah, how great this man is, or whoever, sometimes the word of the Lord will come in and do the exact opposite. And so this is what we're seeing with this. He will do things that'll make your head shake. And he's brought in a nuclear deal that has empowered Iran incredibly. And the fallout from this is just, we're going to see eventually how far-reaching it is going to be, but it's going to be very devastating, I believe. And so he's empowered Iran, which means he's empowered Hezbollah and the terrorist organizations that are funded by Iran. Who came up with the idea that they would give them a 30-day notice before coming in to inspect the nuclear plant? I mean, I couldn't believe this. I mean, it's just like, did the guy who make up part of this write-up for the deal, did he used to manage an apartment? Because in apartments you have to give a 30-day notice. It's just ridiculous. And so it gives them plenty of time to, fix everything up so it looks good for the inspectors to come in. But this is very, very serious. And now we have, due to the weakness of blowing ISIS off the chart, which could have been with an alliance of ground forces, and because nobody wants to bring in a ground forces except for the Kurdish fighters that are laying down their lives. As a result of this, we have unholy alliances taking place. We have Russia with Iran now, Russia meeting with China, and we have a unholy alliance of Arab nations come together in this. But the ones that stand out in my mind are the defiance against the American fleets and armies just off of China. So we have China, Russia, Iran. I just heard on the news today that China is setting up a military camp in Africa or somewhere around there. Bottom line, we have I would say the dark side, all because of the weakness of the Obama administration in dealing with those that have terrible, terrible records of human rights. And we could go on and on, but simply put, things are being set up in the Middle East, and this is just one of the final things that's it's going to have devastating effect, I believe. And so keep your eyes open for this, folks. So that's the fulfillment of Obama, who has acted on his own in so many occasions. That's why he's had the executive orders. It just goes on and on and on. His policies, things that he's done, and the liberal agenda, what I see is just like it's denying reality. And so people think they're going to get away with it. There's going to be consequences, major consequences. for open borders, and it just goes on and on and on down the line. And weakness, weakness, weakness. That's this whole thing spells weakness, and it's so. Anyways, that prophetic word is pretty clear, and it's come to pass, and it's still going to play out because we have more going on in the elections today. Next thing, Canada. I was shown a dream before Canada elected Prime Minister Trudeau. And what I saw in the dream was a level ground, and then on that was, I saw Trudeau with his, and he was wearing his white dress shirt, and this was from a distance. I saw this, and so he shows him walking and then dropping off, falling off this cliff. And so there's out of all the subjects that this could pertain to, this was pertaining to financial, and he was going to walk off of a financial cliff, and it's going to be devastating for Canada. So in the dream, that's all I saw, and so in the interpretation, it had to do with financial. And right after, very soon after, he was elected. And again, this dream was given to me before. This was during the beginning of the election, or sometime during that time. He came up with a statement. He promised during the election he would go into debt like 10 billion or something like that. And he stands up and says, "Oh well, now it's going to be double, maybe even triple that now." And so they think that spending all this money and siding up with this global climate change, which is part of the liberal world agenda, and it's just a waste of money, and it's gonna have major repercussions, I believe. But anyways, the part about him going into debt and just totally irresponsible in the times that we live in, and so that gives me a lot to pray about for both Canada and America. What's going on right now? He's just throwing money around, and I haven't even caught half the stuff that he's tossed up money into the United Nations or some of these organizations, and it just I haven't been able to keep up with everything, and it just wow. And he says Canada's back. He has this. It's just ridiculous. He's on the international scene. He is naive, very naive, and so much prayer needs for this man. And next one is the present U.S. elections. And in the primaries, during the primaries, when the Republicans had their 17 candidates or whatever, it was made clear to me. By the way, I do have a few witnesses when I was sharing some of the stuff that was shown me, but when they had the 17 candidates, it was clearly shown to me, even though the 17 Republicans or whatever had, good some of them are really good in their various fields. In terms of international leadership, and as I watched, the more I watched, I could see chinks in the armor of many of them, and some that I thought were good, could see that they're just completely, no way would they be a strong presidential candidate. And so Donald Trump and Hillary were going to be the final candidate. And the thing that triggered this off was that as I was watching, when Donald Trump spoke, he's the only one that had any power in his words. And it doesn't make him perfect, but there was a weakness behind the others, and I could see Kasich and I could see Rubio starting to be influenced by even what Donald Trump was saying. And leaders lead, they don't follow. And then Ted, Donald called him lying Ted. I mean, it got to the point where it was just insane what comes out of this man's mouth. How anybody can vote for this man and support him. It would just be total disaster regarding Ted Cruz. So even though some of these people are good business people, maybe they, as a government, as a state government or whatever, like Kasich, maybe they had good success, but as a international world leader, when I was listening to Trump, he had it was like an anointing, a power that was upon him, and I think of him like Cyrus. Cyrus, in the Old Testament, brought restoration back into Jerusalem, and that's how I see Donald Trump. And so again, I don't want to read too much into this, but that's what was shown me, that the two candidates going for presidency at the time that they had 17 Republicans, and it was just a matter of time before people were dropping out, and I was just sitting back and watching this take place, unfold. And here we are, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and unfortunately the Republicans, you Republicans, are going to shoot yourselves in the foot. This is absolutely ridiculous. Donald Trump went through the political process fairly, and you're causing division and strife by not supporting him. And you should embrace this man and fully support him. It doesn't mean he's perfect, but the thing that I see in Donald Trump, and by the way, as a Canadian, if I was an American, I would have supported Donald Trump from the very start. And I've never understood why people hate this man. And the liberal media is just brutal. I didn't like the media before I started watching this a year ago, but I've watched closely how these people manipulate things, and their all-out attack just in order to support their liberal agenda is just nuts. And so Donald Trump, he has a heart for your nation, guys. So I'm actually praying for Donald and his family, and also, of course, for your entire nation. But wow, he doesn't always say the right things. He's learning as he goes along. But look at who he's surrounded himself with, people, and he means business. Like, he wants to do the right thing for your nation, and you've got to get behind him and support him. All you guys in the establishment, and you people that you think you're doing some great, noble thing by not supporting him, you're doing the exact opposite. Now I'm going to switch over to the next one, Hillary. You've seen for yourself how dishonest she is, how much she lies, and when you get lying and corruption at the top, and it's began with Obama, but let's go to the email thing. One thing that was shown me, and I declared this over and over at the very beginning when this thing broke, and so it didn't surprise me when Comey stood up there and exonerated her, but I said there's no way they're going to charge her. Absolutely no way, because she has too much power. Those were my words. When someone has too much influence in a organization or among a group of people or among her political peers, it was just so absolutely clear. I didn't even hardly have to think about this. I mean, just boom, it was just right there. And there's no way that she would be charged. And she just has too much power, too much influence in that among her peers in the Obama administration that she's been with. And so Comey, FBI director, stands up, and the rest is history, guys. And she just stands up there. She's interviewed by people in the media, and continues to lie and lie and lie. And her attitude regarding Benghazi, and the one thing that really stood out to me, one is Hillary. She's so cold and corrupt. Those key words, cold and corrupt. Right now, things are being set up. And if all those visions that I've seen on the internet come to pass, and prophets have spoken about this, about great harm coming to America, this is the judgment of God, folks. And will Hillary, if she gets in, will she be the one that ushers in the full judgment? And what is that? That's when all protection is completely lifted, and the enemy comes in like a flood and hits you extremely hard. And I pray this does not happen, but you cannot keep pushing God out of the picture and even becoming so attacking Christian values and the Christian churches and their religious rights and freedoms. Boy, it has consequences, and it's going to be, unfortunately, I just believe it's going to be very terrible what's going to happen. The other word that came to me regarding the final results, if America continues to embrace darkness, Hillary Clinton will be the president. And that's what came to me very early on, at the same time, well, at the time when it was revealed to me that Trump and Hillary would be the final candidates for the presidency. So, there you go, folks. What is darkness? Darkness is anti-Christ, anti-Christian, anti-Bible, anti-faith. It's the liberal world agenda that wants and to just bring in what people see as freedom is license to just do almost anything you want. It's the borders are going to be left wide open. You already, if reports are true, you already have ISIS terror cells in every state. And this is what I've watched and listened to on programs on the TV. So things are being set up. If the liberals get in, the Democratic Party, no Christian in their right mind should be voting for these people. It is an anti-Christian liberal world order that they are part of. They want to. It's just totally anti-Christ. Those are some of the key things that have come to pass, and things to watch for. Terrible. It's weakness has its consequences on the international scene. I pray that you Republicans will do what is right and fully support Donald Trump as the candidate for presidency and get him into the White House. And those that used to be Democrats or those that have not voted, you got to get out and vote for this man, because he wants to serve your country and do it well. It's just clear from how he's gathering people around him, and he's not afraid to make changes. He doesn't, he's not weak. And if he has to make changes, people see this as a problem. He's made changes to his staff, and he's not afraid to do what is right and what is best. And so I pray that Democrats will climb on board. But boy, when you have Hollywood, if you have Hollywood, entertainment industry, and this liberal world agenda, the liberal media doing everything they can to vilify and to twist the truth in order to give Hillary the upper hand. I tell you, folks, you can high-five yourselves if Hillary gets in, but you're not going to win. Nobody's going to win, because this is going to impact Canada as well. and it's going to impact the world. And this is serious times that we live in. And so ISIS is real. The threat of Islamic terrorism is real, and it's not really radical Islam either. We're talking about what the Quran teaches. This is just normal Islam. And I have a lot to say about that in the future, because I'm going through the Quran verse by verse, and the things that haven't even been said out there yet that I have discovered. Whew, wow. I may end up having to write a book on that. So anyways, Lord bless you people, and I pray that mighty Spirit of God will be upon you, and that you'll make the right decision for this coming election. And again, I don't believe he's not a perfect man, but he's a man that has a heart for your nation. My vote is for Trump. God bless you.